All right, so get this. We're taking a deep dive into AI today,
Yeah.
but not the kind that's writing poems or driving cars. This time, we're talking about AI and, well, cow burps.
Cow burps, huh? It sounds a little funny.
Yeah, right. But it's actually a pretty serious issue. You see those burps, they're full of methane.
Ah, methane. Yeah, that's a potent greenhouse gas for sure.
Exactly. Our source for this deep dive is a news release straight from the USDA, the U.S. Department of Agriculture. They're working on this with Iowa State University, and what they found is really interesting. And hold on to your hats because, get this, one cow can burp out up to 500 liters of methane every single day.
Wow, 500 liters, that's a lot. I mean, think about it. There are millions and millions of cows out there.
Right, so when you add up all those burps from all those cows, it ends up being a pretty big chunk of the greenhouse gases we see globally.
Definitely. In the U.S. alone, livestock, mostly cows, make up about 33% of all agricultural emissions.
Wow, 33%, that's huge.
It is. And that 33% actually translates to 3% of all greenhouse gas emissions in the U.S.
So basically, cow burps are kind of a big deal when it comes to climate change.
You could say that.
Yeah.
And that's why scientists are working hard to find ways to, well, make cows burp less methane.
Right. Now, they've actually known about a compound called bromoform for a while now. It's found naturally in seaweed.
Seaweed, huh? Yeah, interesting.
Yeah, and it can seriously cut down on the amount of methane cows produce. I'm talking like up to 98% reduction.
98%. Wow. That sounds almost too good to be true.
Well, there is a catch. Bromoform, it turns out, is carcinogenic.
Carcinogenic? Oh, that's no good.
Nope, not good at all. It's not safe for cows and definitely not safe for us if we were to eat it.
So it's a no-go then?
Pretty much. But the USDA and Iowa State researchers, they didn't give up. They figured, okay, bromoform might not be the answer, but maybe there's something else out there that could work.
So what did they do?
They got creative. They turned to AI to see if it could help find a molecule that acts like bromoform, reduces methane, but without all the nasty side effects.
Hey, huh? Now that's thinking outside the box.
Right. They basically built a virtual cow stomach inside a computer.
A virtual cow stomach. How do you even...
I know, it sounds crazy, right? But they used tons of data from years and years of research on cow digestion.
So they have this virtual stomach, and then they just, let the AI loose in there?
Well, sort of. They used what's called a graph neural network.
A graph neural network. Okay, you're going to have to break that down for me.
Imagine, like, Netflix recommendations, but instead of recommending movies, it recommends molecules.
So the AI learns which types of molecules could work to, like, block the methane production in a cow's stomach.
Exactly. And then it suggests similar molecules that might be safer to use.
Wow, that's pretty amazing.
It is, right. And it can sift through mountains of data in a way that would take human researchers forever.
So instead of scientists spending years testing each possibility one by one,
the AI steps in and acts like a scientific matchmaker.
it finds the perfect match for the problem.
Exactly. And get this, it's already identified 15 molecules that look really promising.
15? Wow, that's a lot. How do they even start testing that many molecules in a lab?
That's a great question. And it's what we're going to dive into after the break. Stay tuned.
Yeah, 15 is a lot. It's like having all these keys.
Yeah.
And you got to find the one that opens the door but doesn't set off like an alarm or something.
Okay, so I'm imagining like a scientist with a bunch of cows, like 15 test tubes, and they're just trying all these different molecules.
Uh-huh. Well, it's not quite that crazy,
Mm.
but you're getting the idea. They actually start by running computer simulations to see how these molecules would interact with the cow's digestive system, but like virtually.
So the computer models help them narrow it down, like a first round of eliminations.
Exactly. It helps them figure out which ones are the most promising before they even go into the lab.
So what happens in the lab? Do they actually like test these molecules on real cows?
Well, they do eventually. But first, they do something called in vitro testing.
In vitro?
Yeah. It means they test the molecules in a controlled environment, like outside of a living organism.
Oh, okay. So like in test tubes and stuff.
Exactly. It helps them see how the molecules behave at like a really basic level.
So it's like a test run before they go to the real deal.
You got it.
Yeah.
And if the molecules pass the in vitro test, then they move on to testing with actual cows.
And that's called?
That's called in vivo testing.
Okay, in vivo. Got it. And that's when they actually see if the molecules work like they're supposed to, right?
Precisely. In a real, live, complex biological system.
It's pretty amazing how they're combining like super advanced AI with these more traditional scientific methods.
I agree. It really shows how technology can speed things up in science and help us make discoveries faster.
It's like giving scientists the superpower, you know?
Yeah, I like that. And this approach, it's not just limited to, cow burps.
You mean this AI could be used for other things too, like other environmental problems?
Exactly. Imagine the possibilities. We could use it to design better solar panels or find ways to clean up polluted water.
Or maybe even create new biofuels?
Right. And it's not just about the environment either. Think about healthcare or material science. This AI could revolutionize so many fields.
It's like AI is giving us the tools to solve problems that seemed impossible before.
I think so.
Yeah,
But of course, with any new technology, there are always potential downsides too, right?
that's true. Like, what are some of the challenges with using AI in science?
Well, for one thing, it can be really expensive to develop these AI systems.
Right, AI doesn't come cheap,
Yeah.
but the researchers in the study, they actually included a cost breakdown in their report, which is unusual.
It did. That's interesting.
Yeah, it shows that they're being really transparent about the resources involved.
And that transparency is really important. It helps make this technology more accessible to other researchers.
Right, because the more people who can use it, the faster we can make progress.
Exactly. But cost isn't the only thing to think about. We also need to be careful about the data that's used to train these AI systems.
So, like, making sure the data is accurate.
Exactly. If the data is bad, the AI will make bad predictions.
Garbage in, garbage out, as they say.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And we also need to be careful about how we interpret the AI's recommendations.
So it's not about just blindly following whatever the AI says.
Right. It's about using the AI as a tool to guide us, to help us make better decisions.
So the human element is still really important.
Absolutely. AI can help us analyze data and come up with hypotheses, but it's still up to us to design the experiments, to interpret the results, and to ultimately make the decisions.
It's a good reminder that AI is a tool, not a replacement for human intelligence.
Definitely. And the best applications of AI are the ones that combine the strengths of both humans and machines.
This conversation has been so interesting. We've gone from talking about cow burps to, like, the future of science.
I know, right? It's amazing how these things connect.
It is, but I want to bring us back to those methane-reducing molecules for a second. So what are the next steps for the researchers?
Well, they need to finish up the lab testing, make sure those molecules are actually effective and safe.
And if they are.
Then the next big hurdle is getting regulatory approval.
Ah, yes, the regulatory maze.
Exactly. They'll need to prove that these molecules are safe for the cows, safe for us to eat, and safe for the environment.
That sounds like a lot of hoops to jump through.
It is, but it's important. It's about making sure the technology is safe and that people trust it.
So it's not just about the science, it's about all these other factors too, like regulations and public perception.
Exactly. Bringing a new product to market is a complex process. It takes collaboration between scientists, regulators, companies, and even consumers.
It really shows how everything is connected, doesn't it?
It does, and it highlights the need for a holistic approach to problem solving. We need to think about the big picture and all the potential consequences.
This research is a great example of that. It's not just about reducing cow burps, it's about finding solutions that are good for everyone and for the planet.
Exactly. It's about creating a better future, and that's something we can all get behind.
This has been such a fascinating discussion. We've covered so much ground, from the nitty-gritty of using AI to reduce cow methane to the broader implications for science and society as a whole.
It's been great.
But before we wrap up, I want to leave our listeners with something to think about.
Oh, I'm intrigued.
We've talked a lot about how AI can help us solve problems, but what about the potential for AI to create new problems?
That's a really interesting question.
It is, isn't it? As AI gets more powerful, we need to be aware of the potential unintended consequences.
We need to be thinking ahead, trying to anticipate those consequences and figure out how to prevent them.
It's like playing chess with the future.
Uh-huh. I like that. We need to be proactive, not reactive. We need to shape the future of AI, not let it shape us.
That's a powerful message. And it really highlights the importance of having these conversations, of working together to make sure that AI is used for good.
I couldn't agree more. The future of AI is not set in stone. It's something we're all creating together. And it's up to us to make sure it's a future we can all be proud of.
Well said. This has been a truly eye-opening exploration of how AI can be used to tackle some of the biggest challenges facing our planet.
It has.
And it's left me feeling optimistic about the future.
Me too. There's a lot of work to do, but with the right tools and the right mindset, I think we can make a real difference.
Absolutely. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the world of AI and cow burps.
It's been a pleasure.
We'll be back next week with another fascinating topic, so be sure to tune in. Welcome back. We've been talking about this really cool USDA study that's using AI to maybe reduce how much methane cows are burping out. It's kind of crazy how technology can be used for something so specific, but then have all these bigger implications.
It's true. It's like, think globally, act locally. That's what this research is all about.
Yeah, exactly. It makes you wonder what other problems we could solve with AI, problems that might seem small but could actually have a huge impact globally.
Oh, definitely. Like, what about food waste? That's a huge
Oh,
problem.
yeah.
We could use AI to, make our food supply chains way more efficient and predict how much food people will actually need.
Mm-hmm.
So we end up throwing less of it away.
Right. That would be amazing. It's like AI can help us find these hidden connections, like how changing one small thing can lead to all these positive changes.
Exactly. And that's what's so exciting about this cow burp research.
Hmm.
It's not just about the burps. It's about showing that AI can be used to solve these really complex problems in a way that's smart, but also, actually doable.
And speaking of doable, one thing that stood out to me about this study was that the researchers actually included a cost breakdown in their report, which you don't see very
Oh,
often.
that's right. Yeah, it's pretty unusual.
Why do you think they did that?
I think it was a really smart move. It shows that they're not just thinking about the science, but also about whether this solution can actually work in the real world.
Mm-hmm.
By being upfront about how much it costs, they're making it easier for other researchers and companies to use this technology.
Right. It's like they're inviting everyone to get involved and help move things forward.
Exactly. It's all about collaboration, especially
Yeah.
when it comes to these big global issues like climate change. We need everyone working together to find solutions.
This whole conversation has been so inspiring. Honestly, it's given me a lot of hope that we can actually solve these huge problems that sometimes feel impossible.
I know what you mean. It's easy to get discouraged, but this research shows that we do have the tools and the smarts to make a difference.
Yeah, we just have to use them. And it goes back to that idea of think globally, act locally. We can all do our part, even if it's something small.
Absolutely. Every little bit helps, whether it's
Sure.
changing our own habits, supporting scientific research, or just talking about these issues and making people aware.
Well said. And that brings us to the end of another deep dive. I always learn so much from these
Me
conversations.
too. It's been a pleasure.
And I hope our listeners feel the same. We've learned about a really cool use of AI to maybe reduce cow methane emissions, which is important for the planet. But we've also talked about some of the bigger implications of AI and how it can be used to solve all sorts of problems.
It's definitely a powerful tool.
It is, and it's up to all of us to make sure we use it wisely. So, until next time, keep those brains buzzing, and thanks for joining us.